Hello? Is this thing working? It is? Huh. And they called my cross-dimensional communicator a fool's errand. If you can hear this, I'm Zito, a transmuter and an official member of the Esoteric Order of Aryan. I have been tasked to show a new group of adventurers the ropes in regards to being a member of the Impetupicness. What you are listening to is our story. New stories are recorded every Sunday and released on the following week. If you enjoy our stories, please consider to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for important bits and future stories. This is a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign set in Eberron, a pulp fantasy setting created by Keith Baker. Oh, and the Traveler would appreciate it if you would not forget to also follow us on Facebook and Twitter for any updates and news regarding the podcast. And now, let the story continue. May he have mercy on us all.
When we last met, the characters each awoke one by one from their much-deserved long rest and began their daily routines around the manor. While making his way to the ground floor of the manor, Byron received a letter from Renair, hand-delivered by his old friend, Thorvin Twinbeard, the foreman of the renovation crew. The group had a brief encounter with a dwarven mage called Olcoria Tordanen in the taproom, who seemed to take an interest in the business, offering her skills to the group for a price. The group then had breakfast, discovering the current task at hand, deciding who would go to Zardoz Zord's dinner party. Characters left Lydia to interview hirelings, heading back upstairs to the meeting room. After some deliberation, it was decided that Zito, Brunhild, and Samael would attend the dinner with Linda Wrighton as the fourth. Byron and Nicholas made plans to follow behind the dinner party group in secret and attempt to slip aboard the sailing vessel. The group then split up to make preparations. The dinner party group browsed shops in Troll Skull Alley for some fine clothing and other needs, while Byron and Nicholas headed down to the waterfront district to perform reconnaissance on the sailing vessels of the Sea Maidens Faire. After completing their shopping trip, the dinner crew made a quick stop at Mr. Trench's private detective office, learning a bit more about the Sea Maidens Faire and Zardoz Zord. The characters all reconvened at the manor later and shared what they had learned. Strategy was discussed, and Linda announced that she would present herself as a long-lost noblewoman called Rosemarie Growlhund. The party then headed down to the ship's towers district and approached the docked sailing vessels, minus Byron and Nicholas, who watched from a good distance away. The dinner crew boarded a longboat and began heading out away from the harbor. Byron and Nicholas borrowed a rowboat and began following the longboat a good distance behind. As Nicholas gazed into the depths, he observed a dark shape growing larger as it grew closer to the surface of the river next to the rowboat. A large dragon breached the surface of the water, gazing at Byron and Nicholas. The sounds of the dock. Pleasant. The sound of the river water lapping against the harbor. The sounds of business dwindling down as folk passed here and there across the bridges linking the various businesses within the ship's towers district. A carriage pulled away off towards the end of the district as the bards Siegfried Lockhart and the cleric Zara Highhill came running down the cobblestone street towards the edge of the docks, staring out into the distance over the river, and in the harbor they saw a strange sight of a reptilian head and an elongated neck out over the water, looming large over a rowboat.
Whoa, is there something that we can do for you?
Hey man, my name's Zelt. I'm a dragon. I see you're out for a nice row.
Yeah. What are you doing out here?
Oh, I live here now. I just come here not too long ago. I was wondering, mind if we talk for a bit?
Sure.
Most folk, they go, oh no, a dragon, and they take off when they see me, or they just try to kill me, but I hope that you're not that type.
Well, you're a little too large for us to, pull in the boat, so You got us.
Well, you'd be surprised. Some silly man the other day tried to drop a net on my head. Just net was only big enough to hit over the edge of my horns. I think I still have a little bit of it stuck in the side of my ear. Hey,
Yeah, well, we can get-
you guys, you're out for a row? Is that what you're doing?
yeah.
Say, if you happen to pass by a really big black and gold sailing ship anchored out in the river, maybe you could check out the strange craft attached to the bottom of it. I tried to ask the crew about it earlier, but they just refused to talk to me at all. They're so rude.
Yes, they are, aren't they? Well, people nowadays. Whew. Well, what did it look like?
Oh, it's big, as almost as long as the ship. I couldn't get a really good look at it, but it looked mechanical. Like it was made out of metal.
Oh, that's definitely unusual.
And there were some really big portholes on one side, like towards the front of the ship, with light coming out of it. And I think, I could be wrong, I could be going crazy, I think I saw some gnomes. I couldn't really tell. And then the sailors, they started waving at me, and I'm assuming the captain, he started yelling at me and telling me to get away.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, it's awful rude if I say so myself. But hey, if you find out more about it and swing back this way, I'll make it worth your while. I've got a couple of unopened chests, and I was just about to crack one open. I have one left that I haven't opened yet that I found in a wrecked cargo ship near the docks. It's a bit barnacled up, but I can smell gold inside. What do you say?
Oh, that sounds good to us. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, man.
Again?
We were just gonna check it out, and how? That's crazy that you were just asking us about this ship too.
Yeah. Again, my name's Zell. Good to meet you.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Siegfried, is he on the edge of the shoreline, or do we see him, or is he in the boat with us?
Several yards away, Byron, as you look back towards the docks, you see the familiar sight of that carriage. One of the locals that noticed you go into the boat has moved, and just behind where it was located at the edge of the dock ward, you see the familiar sight of Siegfried and Zara standing on the edge of the dock, staring out towards your way.
Siegfried waves.
Hey, Zell.
Hey man, what's up?
Hey, you know, you travel so quickly through the water and all that. You think you could push us closer to shore? Because we got a couple of our friends over there on shoreline that want to jump in from the dock.
Oh, they're not mean, are they?
No, they're not.
Oh, I could totally do that for you. Hold on a second. And you watch as his
I'm gonna hold on tight.
massive hands reach out and grab both sides of the boat, and you just sort of lurch forward a bit as this acceleration immediately hits, and it begins pushing you towards the dock. And then right before you're about to hit the dock, he slows down, and a wave splooshes up over the side of the dock ward and totally drenches both Siegfried and Zara.
Oh, that was so cool, Zell. Hey, guys, look at our friend.
Siegfried blinks and then reaches in and grabs the cleansing stone in his pocket and does it to dry himself off, and then looks at them, and then to the dragon, back at them, then to the dragon, and back to them again. It's like, so, who's your new friend?
And Zara
Zell.
looks. Zara does the same thing. She blinks several times, and she's just like, "Is this really real? Am I really seeing this right?"
Oh, don't
Siegfried
worry.
just nod.
I'm a good dragon. Don't worry. I'm one of the nice ones.
Well,
Siegfried nods and smiles like, Zell, right? Pleasure to meet you. And then he just hops into the boat like everything's normal.
Zara very gingerly steps into the boat, keeping her eye very closely on the dragon.
Well, I've got to hop off because they don't like it when I get too close to the dock wards. But you promised that you'll come back if you got some information for me, right? I'll keep up my end of the deal. I promise. I won't open the crate. I won't open it until I see you.
Sounds wonderful to us.
All right. Hey, you want me to give you a boost back to where you were?
Oh, if you could, that'd be wonderful.
Well, hold on one sec. And he just watches. He goes underwater and lifts the boat up onto his back and begins swimming, doggy paddling back towards the where you found him before. And then the boat lurches up, and then it kind of teeters back and forth as you get all of you are just kind of like teetering on the back of this copper dragon, and then all of a sudden it abruptly splooshes into the harbor, into the river once again, and Zell's head and his long neck pop up, and he just was like, "Whew, that's refreshing."
Hey, thanks a lot, Zell. Hey, how do we get in touch with you when we're done exploring the area that you want us?
I'll just swing back through. This is where I live. I spend most of my time, looking for treasure and checking out all the ships. There's a couple of ships I noticed. I haven't looked at them yet, but because there's been some folk over there that they don't like me messing with it. But there's a couple of ships that were sunk recently that I've been wanting to check out. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay, yeah, that's sounds good. Maybe we can go exploring with you one day.
Hey, that would be awesome. What's your name?
I am Byron.
Byron, nice to meet you. And he
My
starts
name's Nick.
looking expectantly at you, Nicholas. And he kind of gives Zara a little wink, and then curls up his snout a little bit into a little half smile towards Siegfried. Well,
Jeez,
yeah, go ahead.
saying we probably should be rowing here, so we don't get back too late for you. So,
Yeah,
it's great meeting you, like I said.
It's gonna get dark soon. I'd be careful going out into the river late at night. That's when the nocturnal creatures come out.
Oh, is there any creatures that we should be aware of?
Oh, there's some sharks. There's a really big one. I haven't seen him in a while though, but he usually heads back here into the harbor at night. So I'd be careful.
Well,
I'm not sure what your name is. Maybe you could do us a favor and...
My name's Zell. Nice to meet you.
Well, I'm Zara. Maybe you could, I don't know, maybe we patrol the raw waters a little bit and, if there's anything in the way, we're giving you information.
And he immediately disappears from sight, sinks into the water, and you just watch the waves, just a rivulet of waves in his wake as you just see him out towards the river. And you can see the waves as you just see this rivulet of water traveling. And after a few minutes passing by, he comes back and he says, and his head bloop out of the water and his neck is over the boat again. He's looking right at you, Zara, and he goes, "Oh, I only saw a couple of sharks. They're the regular kind, though. They shouldn't give you too much trouble. I didn't see anything else."
oh, that's good. Good.
Thanks, Elle. I appreciate it.
Oh, that is no problem at all. It is the very least that I could do. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to head off.
Hey, have a good night.
Yep, have a good night.
All right,
Zara,
see ya. And he very quickly sinks back into the river, murky river water, and you just watch as he, like a noodle, undulating underneath the water, this dark mass getting smaller as it goes away.
Oh, thank the heavens he was friendly. I just looked up and saw him. I'm like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Might as well talk because we're dead otherwise.
Yeah, he seemed really nice. So I'm going to assume that our missing friends received the invitations. So how are we going to get on board?
We're going to sneak on board.
Welcome to the stealth group.
Well, exactly how do you plan on sneaking once you're on there?
Quietly.
Okay. Well, I just feel like, being somewhere that's going to be heavily guarded and just sneaking isn't the best idea. I would have preferred to make some disguises for everyone that was sneaking on board, but alrighty.
Zara just looks over at Nick, and she's like, I have seen some strange things, but that's my first encounter with a dragon.
Well, he said there's a metal ship below the ship that we're headed to that he wants us to look into and investigate. So, and then he's got a chest that he'll give us for doing that. Sounds like a good deal to me.
I know, me too. Well, Siegfried, to answer your question, me and Byron are very good at hiding. We weren't really, planning on having, you know, unstealthy people around here, but welcome to the stealthy mission. It's a good, Can you disguise
And
yourself at all?
I was just saying, if you're in a hallway that's well lit with no shadows and it's a one-way path, you can stealth all you want, but you're gonna get seen.
Oh, I have a backup, and I brought some clothing that I can wear, and I have a story.
Well, I'll trust you. I got my disguise kit. I can just disguise myself as one of the waiters.
Well, we should have made some extra copies of those invitations, even if they were poor mock-ups, or we could at least get past some of the peon.
Well, you see, I wasn't really there when you all did the plans. I had a few errands to run, including getting a new loot so I could properly cast my spells. And apparently while I was off, you all decided to go ahead and run off without anything. So even if I did have the ability to do any sort of forgery like that, I didn't have time to prepare. I only knew because I went back to the manor and Mr. R told me you all left.
Surprise!
As you look around, you glance. The sun is starting to crest, getting closer to the waterline, and in the distance, you just see that the cerulean blue water of the river is now turning to an amber orangish color as the sun sinks lower and lower on the horizon. And in the distance, Byron, you can see that dot that you were following just before the arrival of this bronze dragon, or excuse me, copper dragon. Or no, it is bronze dragon. I apologize. You can still see that tiny little glint of a green sparkle off in the distance on the horizon.
All right, well, since there's four of us now, row harder.
To be honest, guys, I don't have much except healing potions. Not really that stealthy, just to be totally honest. So I don't want to ruin the plan.
Well, I'd have to disguise a guy, because if you're going to disguise yourself as anyone that's actually supposed to be there that's not a guest, they're all dude.
Yeah.
Well, I figure that since we're headed that way, Nick and I will sneak aboard, and we'll lower a rope down to you and get you aboard once we secure a location. And hopefully the stealth won't come into play. Once we get on board the ship, we'll have to make our way around and see if we can explore the captain's area, which holds the key to your release, Zara.
Right. And she kind of fingers the band of loyalty on her finger, just absent-minded.
Well, no, it still all seems...
Are you guys rowing or as you're talking, or are you just sitting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Siegfried now humming row, row, row your boat. What is the song I'm humming? Whatever. And he just keeps humming it as he... Row, row, row your oars, row 'em all the way. Holy crap, there's a dragon. Let's go a bit faster. Oh wait, he's our friend. I'm so confused.
Alright, just one last thing. Make sure you don't use our real names. We don't want this coming back to the manor at all.
That is key.
Does that mean Nick's gonna be calling you a loser again?
Probably.
Nick, do you have like a extra suit or something?
Unfortunately, I just have what I have on.
What are you wearing anyway?
Me? Or Zara?
You.
Oh, me? I have a magical robe that can change disguises.
Oh, you're
Like
fine.
it has like three clothes, you know, that I use. I just gotta cover my face. I can't change my face yet. What do you have on, Byron?
Um, I have a dark robe that's inside out, and underneath it I have fine clothing.
Okay. Well, we're good. What about you? What about you, Zara and Siegfried? What do you guys?
I have a disguise kit. I can be dressed however I want.
Zara, do you have anything nice?
I mean, I'm wearing a nice dress. Well, I'm wearing a nice maroon cloak, but I'm obviously not a man. I mean, I could cut my hair.
No, no.
I could disguise her, and if I don't have enough for her, I do look quite fancy, and I am a musician. If worse comes to worse, and you'll have to go on without me, I could at least try to say, well, I simply heard there was a party and thought I'd come and offer my musical talents.
Or you could be one of the pre-hired painters.
Exactly. I have a few ways I can at least pass myself off, but you two don't have much talent, per se, other than sneaking.
I mean, isn't that talent enough? You won't see us once we get on the ship. I promise you that.
Again, you presume that one, no one is good at seeing people, and two, that there is always going to be a place to sneak, or a place where you can not be outnumbered and killed on sight because your sneaking failed.
Oh, we'll find out.
I just always like to have multiple plans, not just, oh, my plan failed, kill them.
How close are we to the ship, Jeremy?
Sorry, I'm communicating with another player. So you guys can continue to talk and row. And to answer your question, you're probably about 1,300 feet away from them.
So, Siegfried, what is your name?
And as we get closer, you're going to not be talking because our voices will carry on the dark water.
Agreed. But really quick, Siegfried, what is your name?
You can call me Kevin.
Nice to meet you, Kevin. You need a surname, though. Something with respect. What's your
Kevin
surname?
Darkrose.
Darkrose. Okay, so we got Kevin Darkrose. Zara, what is your name?
It has been on my mind. Testing, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so dumb. This ring has been on my mind. I do have some traveling clothing, and she pulls out, just some normal-looking pants, and she actually flips her maroon cloak inside out, and it's kind of gray, and she has like a blouse on as well as, kind of a kerchief that she puts her hair around.
Well, if you need to change your clothes, now's the time to do it. Don't worry, we'll
I
watch.
should mention you can wear your traveling clothes over your chainmail.
Oh, cool.
Jeez.
Yeah, and my chainmail changes color by my mood, so.
That's pretty cool. Alright, guys, I'm gonna change.
All right. Well, while you guys are trying not to watch as Zara is and turning your eyes, averting your attention, and continuing to row as Zara puts on her
my turn.
traveling clothes, you row off into the distance towards the little dot when the green spark of light over the horizon, over the river, as we transition over to the longboat.
And by the way, guys, my name is Bobby Joe. I'm gonna sound like this, okay?
And I am Louis Curehut.
How y'all doing back there? We'll be there soon. The very attractive sailor turns and looks back towards Linda within her burgundy pink colored dress, and then glances towards Brunhild in her almost turquoise aquamarine dress, and then over towards the fine stature of both Samael and then Zito in his fine garments.
We are well, thank you.
If you look just out there to the southwest, you'll notice something grand. And the man gestures out over the horizon, and you see a dot that had been a spot of a speck from where you were a little while ago has now grown in size, and you see a large three-masted sailing vessel. And the fore and aft castle, the front and the rear of the ship, are elongated and stretching up. And as the sun is going down, you can just see the light, the golden amber light, reflecting off of the river, and you can see it glinting off of the gold filigree, the gold paint on the edges, the trim of the ship. That's the eye catcher. Quite the looker, isn't it?
I agree. It's a fine ship.
Say, I didn't catch your names, by the way. My name's Philip.
I'm Brunhild.
Linda sort of, her eyes go wide in shock. She had heard Zito, heard his name called out earlier, and now Brunhild has called out and said her name, and she says, I'm Rosemary of the Growlhounds. Pleasure? And the man looks expectantly towards Samael.
Well, I see no harm in telling you my name. My name is Samael.
Well, nice to meet all of you. I have to say, I wasn't expecting anyone else. After we delivered the lady and her gentleman fellow, we thought that everyone had arrived, since dinner would be starting very soon. I'm afraid that you all have lost your chance to tour the ship, which is of course customary before dinner. But perhaps the captain or the master, Master Zardoz, and perhaps he could make an exception.
That would be wonderful. We don't want to put him out of sorts, though. I appreciate the offer.
Well, we'll see what kind of a mood he's in. And after rowing for several minutes, you find yourselves coming up alongside the very tall sailing ship. And the sailors, as they get closer, the sailors on board the deck throw out ropes that the sailors catch within the keelboat, and they begin tying and festooning, and then a ladder made of rope is thrown out over the edge of the main deck, and it unfurls and with a floop into the longboat. And the sailor says, "Watch your step now, miss," and gestures up towards the expectant sailor. You've noticed that all of the sailors are remarkably handsome for being sailors. for most of you, your expectations of what sailors look like as rough and tumble individuals. But every single one of them, including the gentlemen in the ship and the crew that are on the deck, they all seem just resplendently handsome, like their features are chiseled out of rock. And the one that is currently leaning over the edge of the main deck is staring down at Linda with a smile, and Linda looks at the three of you before she begins ascending the rope. Watch your step now, miss. And one by one, they begin assisting you up onto the main deck of the eye catcher.
Zito will thank the handsome sailor as he gets on the ship. Well, you guys look a lot nicer than I expected you to. Are you part of the parade? I hear that that Zorro likes to do parades around.
And one of the crew looks to you and he says, and he just sort of smiles and chuckles a little bit and says, "We're very well paid."
How much does he pay you?
It's a lot. And he just sort of chuckles and laughs and looks at one of the other sailors who also begins laughing. And as he turns, he gestures up onto the aft deck section, and there's a short bit of stairs or stairs on either side of the fore and the aft section. Two sets of actually. Sets that are heading down into the lower deck, and sets that are heading up towards both the fore at the front of the ship and the aft at the rear of the ship. And the crew, as they get all four of you up onto the main deck, you looking out over that, you watch as the gentlemen are now taking the ropes, attaching them to the keelboat, and they're hauling the keelboat up out of the water. Make sure that rigging is tight, men. We don't want to lose that keelboat. We've already lost 2 to the sharks just this past month. And as you're looking up, approaching from the aft section, the deck, you see another one of these resplendent-looking crew. Although this one is wearing more elaborate clothing. And he's wearing a very, very flowy shirt. Looks like it's made of a very nice burgundy material, and he's just strapped to the gills with a rapier on his side, and you see what you have seen Nicholas carrying around. He appears to be armed with a pistol, which is strapped across his chest, and it has several strange hieroglyphs on the side, what you figure to be like carved cartouches of some sort, and several of them, just at a quick cursory glance, look like fish and other types of sea animals. As if you'll just follow me, I will lead you up to the captain's cabin.
Very well. Thank you.
And one at a time, you file up the 5-foot wide staircase, holding onto the banister as the eye catcher rocks a little bit in the waves. And up on the aft deck section, you see ahead of you another set of stairs heading up to a taller aft section, which you can see the ship's wheel with a few crew members standing up on that far section. And you see a door immediately along the far wall below the upper aft section. And the man heads towards the door, and he grasps the handle, and he turns around, and he looks at each of you, and he says, "Welcome to the captain's cabin. I present to you the master of the Sea Maidens Faire, Zardos Zord." And he opens up the doors. And immediately you're hit with the light sound of music being played and the sweet smells of perfume. And you can smell the cooked meats wafting out from within the chamber. And as you begin to file into the captain's cabin, which is quite cozy, you see a spread which is laid out along the back wall with these large windows that line the very rear of the aft section of the cabin. And you also see a table set up with 6 chairs. And already seated at one of the chairs, you see a woman who is dressed in fine silks and a silvery gown. And she sort of looks over towards the few of you and she says, "Oh, I didn't know that we had more guests." And there's a gentleman standing next to her with a sort of flock of seagulls comb over, and he is standing at attention next to the lady, not seated. And he turns and he looks at all of you and gives you sort of a cursory glance. And from the back of the cabin, emerging from a curtain, there's several curtains which are lining one side of the cabin. A man emerges, and the man is scantily clad, and he is wearing a crisscross pattern, dark crimson red outfit, and very, very short shorts, almost underwear style undergarments. And the cabin itself is bedecked in a golden filigree everywhere. The curtains themselves have these little tassels that hang from the sides, and you see that there's a magnificent feast that is laid out on platters, sprawled across the table. And the man is holding a wine glass in his hand. He's very well built, and he has a bountiful amount of chest hair. And he has a flashy rapier that hangs from one of the crisscross belts. And he says, "Welcome. Welcome aboard the Eyecatcher." He says, as he flashes you all a smile, he says, "Zordos Zord at your service."
Thank you for the hospitality. I am Samael.
Ryan, Zito, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Of course. I was, of course, not expecting anyone else to arrive.
Well, we have received these invitations saying that the party was tonight, was it not?
No.
Plus, we had heard that you have exceptional parties, and we could not miss a chance to come see them.
Well, I'm afraid you've missed the grand tour. But of course you're just in time for dinner. If you'll all have a seat. And he gestures to the chairs that are open. There's a chair that's open at the head of the table, and at the opposite end of the table, which is next to the banquet table along the back. And there are 2 more open seats, in addition to a 4th that is right next to the lady that is in the silken gown.
Zito will take a seat next to the lady.
I want to sit next to Zito.
Okay, well that leads the table, or the open seat at the end of the table that is just behind the door leading into the cabin.
Then I will have a seat.
And says, "Let me just 1 second." And he turns and he snaps his fingers a few times, and from emerging from behind one of the curtains, you all see a clockwork man resembling a warforged. His workings appear to have brass, metal, metallic fittings, and he's wearing a cloak that covers most of his body, and he has a wide-brimmed hat with a feather in it. And the normal face, expressionless face of a warforged doesn't appear to be the same as this one. This one appears to have a very expressive face, almost like a mask, with some false mustache and goatee made out of wire. "Oh, would you be a dear and get these ladies and gentlemen some refreshments, and we'll begin serving dinner shortly." And the Clockwork Man heads towards the banquet table and grabs one of the decanters and begins walking towards all of you. He's perfectly harmless. I can see from your looks that you seem a little off-put. They're loyal to those who provide coin. And the mechanical creature quietly refills, or begins filling all of your wine glasses or flagons.
I wouldn't say off-putting, but he is very different. Where did you find such a specimen?
Oh, it was during my last trip to Sarlona, actually. On my last visit, I purchased these 4. Well, one of 4. The rest are on... 2 of them are on my other ships, and I have a second one somewhere wandering around on one of the decks. I got them from a Riadran artificer who claimed that he made them, but I soon discovered that they were all sentient, and they seemed to hailed from the Mornland.
That's quite intriguing. I take it you're quite the adventurer.
Well, I don't know about that. I am just a simple master of a carnival, sir. The true adventurer would be my benefactor, the Honorable G.E. Nevercult.
Ah. I wouldn't say there's too much simple about the carnival.
Well, have you seen it? It is wonderful. Wondrous to behold.
I have not. I originally hail from Thrain, and I've led a very sheltered life until arriving here in Sharn.
Let me share an image of Zord so you get an idea of who you're talking to.
Oh, we know. I've been showing everybody.
I apologize. I am being quite rude. I didn't get your name, sir.
I am Samael.
Samael. And which house do you hail from? And he gives you sort of a quizzical eye and arches one of his eyebrows.
I'm afraid the house that I hail from is unknown even to myself. It's something I do not dwell on nor speak of. But I am here in Sharn at the behest of the Silver Flame.
Silver Flame?
Yes, but don't take that the wrong way. I'm not one of the more uptight do-gooders that you are most undoubtedly so familiar with.
Oh, pardon my asking, and exactly how did a member of the Silver Flame, or an affiliate, happen upon an invitation to my dinner party?
That is a good question, but you seem such an interesting person. I couldn't help but come check this out myself.
And he sort of keeps raising his eyebrow, and as he does, he brings his glass up to his lips and takes a sip, and swallows with a flourish. He says, "Ha! We are living strange times indeed. Well, I'm famished," and he just sort of reaches out and walks up towards Linda's plate and begins helping himself with food off of her plate and eating it. "I never sit when I eat. I hope that you won't take offense."
None whatsoever.
And the lady who is seated next to Zito goes, "Oh, can we get on with it, please? I am dreadfully bored. And where did you get this? Where did you find this riffraff?" The man behind her, he sort of stiffens, and he says, "Begging your pardon, Master Zord. I was under the impression that you would be entertaining only nobles this evening. These 4 don't exactly look like they fit the bill." And Zordos looks back to the men and says, "Now, Jalister, don't be rude. We've just only begun to find out about these individuals, and I'm quite curious to find out how the rest of them happened upon invitations to the dinner tonight." And with that, we will transition back to the rowboat, which is furiously rowing southwest.
You know,
Siegfried spits out a bit of water, scotch into his mouth, back into the.
Okay, question. Well, actually, Zara's gonna be like, so how does the ring of sending work, anyways? Can other people hear it, or is it only in the mind of the person wearing the ring? You know, maybe we can get like a status report on what's going on the ship, so we can prepare accordingly.
It's basically a sending stone on your hand.
So it would be out loud.
Yes, used it earlier, and I talked to Bryn, so it means that the person doesn't have to physically be hearing it in order to talk or hear over it.
Okay.
In other words, if you speak loudly, your voice will be amplified on the other end loudly. If you speak quietly, your voice will will emanate from the ring quietly. So of course, the receiver of the message, not knowing that you're trying to communicate with them, the ring will flash, it will light up, and sound will emanate from the ring, even in a hushed tone. So it'll essentially be like making a stealth check at disadvantage.
Well, what do you think, guys? Given that it's not exactly stealthy. At the same time, we want to prepare in case of whatever they come against. What do you think, Byron? Nick?
Well, we had a plan. We need to stick with it for now.
All right.
Until we find out otherwise. If you try to communicate with them, their hand's going to glow. Noise is going to come up from their hand. So that'd be kind of odd.
There is a violent bump from below your ship, and the ship rocks back and forth.
I'm gonna look down.
And
See what's under the
Make
ship.
a perception check, please.
I'm gonna pull out my crossbow and notch it.
I'm gonna use my passive perception.
Me too.
From below the water, you see dark shapes. Not like enormous, but they seem to be circling now around the rowboat. And one of them is coming towards the rowboat right now.
Did anyone order shark delivery services?
And the boat is hit and struck, and some of the wood splinters as a large shark hits it and grabs onto the side of the ship and bites off a large section from the left side of the ship. Of the
Does
rowboat.
anyone have mend?
And
Does
if you
anyone
would,
have mend?
if you could all roll initiative, that would be great. And by all, I mean the guys in the rowboat. And I will share a map with you.
And Zara's gonna say, we might want to be careful to be honest, if there's a bunch of arrows and these sharks and floating out of nowhere, I mean, the boat might wonder what was around. Maybe if we just use swords, maybe they'll think they can kill each other or something. I don't know. Something.
So no arrows. Gotcha.
Yeah. He puts hers back.
And Zara, it is your turn.
we're on the water. Yay.
Yeah, let me just take some people off of here.
Hey, I'm outside the boat.
No. So Zara, what would you like to do?
I look around and see what's the closest dock objects I can see.
Okay. You see a fin coming at you. After the first one ducked down into the water, from the northeast you see a fin that is currently emerging from the water, getting closer towards the ship, close to where Byron currently is located on the rowboat.
So it looks like about...
It's the one that is angled towards the ship on the map.
Alright, I'm gonna move to the one towards Byron, and I'm gonna hold my action and get out my help.
Okay. The other shark, which sunk into the depths, is now coming again towards the ship. I'm just realizing that the tokens are not locked. Whoopsie. Now they are. And it is coming towards you, Nicholas, as you're standing on the edge of the boat. And it leaps up out of the water towards you. Its large, serrated, toothy maw opening wide and attempting to snap at you. Whoops, I did not mean to hit the rowboat. So the shark snaps, and you just manage to back away a few inches from the teeth as they clench together and nearly take a chunk out of your arm. And then the shark now begins to slip back into the river water. And Nicholas, it is your turn.
Can I reach the shark from here?
Yes, it is beginning to slip back into the water.
Going to reach out and stab it with my short sword.
Okay.
Nice.
Nicholas, you with one arm, you take your short sword, drawing it from your side, and arc out and stab the creature in its nose, in the front of its nose, and you just watch as the blood hits the water and begins clouding red in the river water around the rowboat. Is that all you'd like to do?
Can we row the boat at all?
That would take
How
your
does that work?
action.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, can't do anything else. Can't really move.
Siegfried, it's your turn.
Siegfried is going to move up next to Nick since Zara and them are over there perfectly fine. He's going to come over here and try to stab the shark. Run in its sharky face.
Right in that sharky face.
Bear with me, my fantasy's ground is going very slow right now.
No worries. What would you like to do? I can do it for you if you need me to. There you go. So Siegfried, you pull out your rapier from your side and you stab out at in this almost the same exact section and catch the creature in the side of its jaw, and a gout of gore and blood begins to pepper the water. as it thrashes from your attack.
Only sky coaches are allowed to try to kill him.
Is that the end of your turn?
I do.
And Byron, it's your turn.
Can I see the shark at the rear of the boat?
You see its fin as it's getting closer to the boat. So yes, you can see
the
it.
one that's by Nick and Siegfried.
Currently, the shark is sunk down in the waterline. Its head is bobbing, so essentially it would have 3/4 cover from you if you tried to attack it. But you can still try to attack it.
That's what, -5, right?
You could also move up to where they are, and you can attack it with no disadvantage.
I'm gonna hold my bow shot at the one coming from the shark
Okay.
one. When I get an opportunity to see it better, I'll fire at it.
Okay. All right. Well, that is exactly what it's going to do. It's going to begin. The fin begins getting elongating in the water as it gets closer to the boat. Did you want to take a shot at it now?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it.
Go right ahead. That is a critical hit.
Haha.
Hey.
I hear shark fin soup is really good.
You have heard incorrectly.
And if I use the first level spell to make the Hail of Thorns, is that also critical?
How does Hail of Thorns work?
It makes the arrow blow up.
I would say
Everything within 5 foot.
that if you have to use a bonus action to cast it.
Yes.
Okay, so then no, they wouldn't count towards that critical. Because you have to use your bonus action to cast it, so it's separate from your first critical attack.
Gotcha. Then I won't make the noise. And I'm done.
Okay. The shark now is getting right up in your grill, and it looks like it's about to bite at the rowboat. You just watch as its fin begins sashaying in the water, disturbing the surface of water.
And I immediately strike down.
Go for it. That is a hit. And
And I'm gonna
you arc down with your halberd, stabbing onto the creature.
I'm gonna use one of my war domain points and hit it again.
Okay, go right ahead. Just imagine at this moment Samael is sipping some ale. That is a
Natural one.
that is a critical
Nice.
hit.
Woo! Feels nice when it's not.
Haha.
So you, in quick succession, hack twice into the side of this creature's head, ripping into one of its gills. And you just watch as its enormous maw opens and clamps onto the side of the rowboat. But in the frenzy of your blows, the combination of the attack from Byron and from Zara's halberd, the creature snaps as the rocking of the boat from you moving within the rowboat causes it to move away from its jaws as it snaps shut.